Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Tag Talks. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I'm Georgia Christa, Tax Events Coordinator, and I'm very happy to have this evening with us a fantastic French architect, Patrick Delamotte, to present his talk, Ornament Today, Why Become an Architect, and even more an Ornament Architect. This tag will explore Patrick's conviction that the growing ugliness of contemporary city demands a response. Witnessing the loss of delightful, picturesque environments replaced by soulless modern buildings, he raises a fundamental question. What kind of progress is this? In this quest to find an answer, Patrick had the revelation that the reintroduction of ornament into architecture as an integral part of the architectural project is the recipe of bringing back the character and flavor in new architectural projects, creating a new traditional heritage. A few words about Patrick. He was born in a family that valued culture and education, and he first enrolled at the École des Beaux-Arts in the 70s, followed by architectural studies at what is now known as École nationale supérieure d'architecture de Paris-Belleville. Feeling that those two schools were not sufficient, he went on to earn a degree in art history and archaeology, and also graduated from the prestigious École de Chaillot, specializing in architectural heritage conservation. In 1984, Patrick moved to Amiens, where he began developing new projects in a traditional style, as well as countless reconversions and improvements of existing buildings, all aimed at embellishing, enhancing, and reinforcing the character of the city. As always, the talk will be followed by a question and answer sessions. If you have any questions during the presentation, please let me know in the message bar at the bottom of the screen. After the talk, I'll invite you to unmute your microphone and ask your questions directly. With that said, I'll now hand over to Patrick. Patrick, you can begin your presentation, and if you can please share your screen.
Yes.
Fantastic. So now the stage is yours.
Okay. Why to be an architect, and even more an ornament designer? This is a consciousness of the increasing ugliness of the city, when the delightful, picturesque atmosphere of a lovely environment is destroyed for soulless modern buildings. You feel and ask, what kind of progress is that? What to say? Yes, exactly. Instead of an interesting and agreeable urban site, an aggressive monstrosity is choking you forever. And you want to know why it was so attractive before. The senseless destruction of much 19th century architecture, so unloved because it was tainted by eclecticism, seems to me the result of a lack of curiosity and cultural awareness. A kind of barbarism that constantly assaults us. A reckless forgetting of our cultural heritage wherever we may be. Studies and degree. I suspect that most of us were confronted at a young age with architectural and urban renovations that gradually destroyed the environment we cherished. An untolerable march of concrete and steel, cold, soulless, and for us totally unlivable. A bleak modernitude that satisfies no one, except perhaps a few elites. When I decided to take an interest in architectural ornamentation as a subject of my final thesis, it was a way of approaching the matter concretely, something what would later help me build at a human scale, the scale of the pedestrian, and link art with architecture, art for all. The first initiations at the OP8 School of Architecture in October 70 included visits to the Villa Savoie, Jean Prouvé's industrial houses, and Émile Ayo's noodles at Grigny's Grand Born, which permanently vaccinated me against that appalling modernity. At the March 225 exhibition at the Grand Palais dedicated to Japanese artist Chiharu Shiota, one could read this quote: "Our first skin is our human skin. Clothing is our second skin. In that case, isn't our third skin made up of our living spaces, that is, the walls and windows surrounding the human body?" I thought to myself that this insightful reflection summed up quite well how we feel about architecture, how uncomfortable we become spaces without poetry, spaces that never stir out sensibility, offering no care of comfort to accompany us. This aligns with the beautiful definition Ricardo Porro gave in 1971 regarding the role of architecture, a poetic framework for human action. This how began the architecture history lectures that soon Bernard would keep on, starting with Brunelleschi and Alberti. In the old refrigerated warehouses Les Halles de Paris on Rue de Viam, a needle place for learning. 2 years later, a 3-week visit of the works of Andrea Palladio offered Bernard and me a dreamlike universe at a historical peak in the evolution of architecture. We attended international lectures at the Centro Internazionale di Studi di Architettura Andrea Palladio within the prestigious Palazzo Valmarana Braga in Vicenza. Albert Flocon, a professor at UP8 who had known the Bauhaus, expressed a sort of regret about the disappearance of ornament. His melancholy offered a path to follow. In 1976, a locksmith from the company where my father had worked gave me a small, dense, very thick book with yellowed and brittle pages, the Architect and Builder's Handbook dated 1896, which contained examples of moldings and their nomenclature. Also, having taken an interest in 1972 in the history of the Wallace Fountain in Paris, then celebrating their 100th anniversary, I had conducted some research on their creator, entrepreneur, Antoine Duren, founder in 1840 of the Waldon Foundry in Sombois. I discovered a catalogue presenting magnificent cast iron railing, this kind, GHM, and the Fountain Wallace. Architecture degree, 1977. While most of the models presented to the juries featured small-scale housing complexes where one could no grasp the tactile proximity of the architecture, my diploma project, a much more modest hostel, was presented with a 150 scale model, which allowed for a better appreciation of the built space and its architectural details. The diploma thesis, at the initiative of the architect and historian Pierre Sadi, was entitled Fragment d'une théorie de l'ornementation. The application portfolio for the École de Chaillot included outdoor sketches I made using as models the porches of apartment buildings in my neighborhood and later in the streets of Nancy. A sort of prelude to the monument surveys that Yves-Marie Froidevaux would ask for in courses at the Centre d'Études Supérieures d'Histoire et de Conservation des Monuments Anciens.
Change slides?
Yeah. This is the views of that project of the Youth Hotel. And the designs I made for me too fast. Merci bien. OK. Merci bien. Études architecturales du quartier balnéaire, 1983-1984. As an advisory architect for the regional delegation for architecture and environment in Picardy, I was commissioned to conduct a study of the seaside villas in a neighborhood of Mers-les-Bains with a view toward the area listed as a protected site. I accompanied this research with detailed surveys of 3 villas and colored rendering of 2 of them Rue Boucher de Perthes, the twin La Lune Le Soleil, and its immediate neighbor, Bon-Abri, built in 1901. Back in 1979, I had visited San Francisco's famous Painted Ladies, recently rejuvenated with spectacular and widely varied color schemes, some of even influenced by the inventive expression of pop art and psychedelic styles. Given the dismal condition of the old Mers villas, with their dull and lifeless hues, I suggested that we bring these stunning buildings back to life, too long neglected, by showcasing these two early examples. The result was the establishment of a protected sector in 1986. Amiens, le passage Bellu, 1984-1986. The earliest projects are manifestos. The Passage Bellu in Amiens was well received by the local authorities, who remembered during later architect selections for the Zac Cathedral area that it was indeed possible not to shock the inhabitants of a city so deeply marked by the destruction of World War II by drawing upon a more traditional architectural style. In 1984, Rob Creer had won the competition to rebuild the city center, and with his project for a new Amiens, he offered magnificent proof of a shared will for urban renaissance. Detailed, precise drawings were the foundation for fruitful exchanges with local craftsmen. We demonstrated all their know-how. During the construction, they often expressed their satisfaction in contributing to something beautiful, a welcome departure from the typically bland blendings that we were used to. And drawn plans also play a significant role in fostering positive relationships. The nostalgic and somber drawing of the project on this deserted quay along a hesitant, meandering-some river nonetheless inspired the elected officials of Amiens to use this as the cover image for the city portfolio and achievements presented to President François Mitterrand during a visit to his political allies. And the OPAC of Amiens used it to wallpaper the entrance hall of its head office. A renaissance in motion? A bit later, a photograph of the finished project was featured on large advertising billboards with the catchy slogan, Amsterdam or Amiens, celebrating the vibrant proximity of the Somme River, its canals, and the floating gardens, or tillonnage in French. To successfully carry out this traditional or classical architecture project, it was no longer acceptable to think of the precision in the usual way, where architect handles everything alone. One had to retain only what truly matters, design and the detailing of architectural ornament. The quantity surveyor, today known as the construction economist, would do everything else, a tremendous gain in time and efficiency for projects that could now multiply without compromising architectural quality. Quite the opposite. The Passage Bellu immediately benefited from this division of responsibilities. The reconstruction work initiated in Saint-Leu with the Passage Bellu was a product of a convergence of simple ideas, not from an architectural theory, but from intuition. Reinforce the architectural emotion born from the historic site and its collective appropriation. Erase the presence of the architect, rejecting the idea of an artist's signature. Develop and precisely draw every detail of ornamentation. Showcase craftsmanship through collaborative process for designing decor. Achieve the best decorative effects without creating economic difficulties, which implies a deeper understanding of the trades and a presence in the workshops of the craftsmen involved. Mers-les-Bains, l'immeuble Bricard. This is the design for Amiens. And now, Mers-les-Bains, after acquiring the building located at the corner of Avenue Foch and Rue Federbe in Mers-les-Bains, The OPAC of Amiens entrusted me with its restoration. This followed the publication of an article in the Paris Normandy newspaper about the architectural studio, the Sissa district, which described the research done on site as meticulous ant-like work, highlighting the exceptional heritage value of the local villas. The building dates from 1903. It was a major rehabilitation project involving the restoration of the exposed timber structure of the loggias, as well as natural or glazed terracotta decorations. The Pelletier Carpentry Company in Abbeville and the ceramist of the Cour des Potiers in Rancy, Jean-Pierre Berman and Daniel Castier, did a magnificent job. The Catholic teaching establishment wanted to build an extension to the School of the Saint Clair and Saint-Leu roads. Passage Bellu has given rise to architectural designs that are more concerned with tradition and built aesthetics. We want beauty, not just functionality, which forgets that essential, the poetic framework to human action. This coloring of the project shows that, once again, I wanted to introduce statues in the niches, overhanging pilasters, which, like the rest of the facade, are in brushed brick bases, and in the center of the pediment dormers. The Holy Spirit, Seraphim, and Saints are still missing. Abbaye Sainte-Anne de Kergonan, 1988-1992. André Anger, an architect from Saint-Paul-sur-Ternoise, wanted to meet me. He had visited the Passage Bellu before, suggesting I join a project in Brittany, the expansion of the Abbey of Sainte Marie de Kergonan. A competition? Not really. But I would later learn that the monks were growing discouraged after a string of catastrophic facade proposals submitted by 10 different architects. André designed the plans, while I set to work on a watercolor rendering at 1/200 scale. With that watercolor in hand, we met the monks during Easter 1988. After an internal vote, they entrusted us with the full design and execution of the extension. Don Robert Le Gall had just become abbot of the Benedictine Abbey with brother Pierre-Marie Jordan, our former surveyor, as cellarer and technical advisor. By divine grace, the site had no official protection, and thus no architect of Bâtiment de France to proclaim that at the end of the 20th century, soon the 21st, we no longer built like this. We quickly obtained permits, and construction began in June 1990. Over 3,000 square meters were delivered by 1992, with finishing touches added later. Our design honors the Abbey's history, deeply marked by the forced secularization and expulsion in 1905. The original buildings date from 1996, and the newer ones, including the church, from 1966 and 68. The primary materials used were granite in two tones and slate, naturally harmonizing with the existing structure, just as the community had hoped. Belle Dune, 1989-1991. The SMACOPI, syndicat mixte d'aménagement de la côte Picarde, joint planning syndicate for the Picardy coast, took an interest in this new vision of architecture, grounded in the rival of traditional forms and detailing. I sketched designs for the new golf course created by Jean-Noël Capa and Marc Molter, famous Belgian landscape architects. Amiens-based architects Serge Gasnier and François Cossard were already working on plans, but their proposals didn't align with the vision of Jean-Christian Cornet's Macopy's director. The first drawing presented to him was a small-scale colored sketch that already featured ornamental elements as fretwork boards, fine-use brackets, small wooden consoles, all set in a colorful palette of altering green and blue tongue and groove cladding. Loggias, typical of seaside picturesque architecture, along with bar windows, created rhythmic play between light and shadow. Drawing from collective memory, the picturesque architecture could finally be reborn. The first subsequent sketch sought to give from a golf school. The first in July 1989 took inspiration from the original barracks in the previously shown style. The second in December was influenced by the architecture of Seaside, Florida, which we were fortunate enough to visit. Eventually, it was a Swedish builder, Jabo, who proposed a wooden building. I had to adapt it to give it the characteristics of Belden. Yeah. The covered T area was the first structure to emerge, completed in 1991. In 1992, the small starters building followed. A roof finial recovered from a late 19th century room served as a model for those we implemented on the first golf buildings. Starter. Okay. Amiens, Passage Motte d'Audane, 1991-1993. A private initiative led by Dr. Willy Peters revived the idea of reconstructing the former municipal workshop of Amiens, located in the Saint-Leu district between Rue de la Dodane and Rue Motte. His cousin, architect Philippe Machado, and I joined forces on this project. Together, we designed a complex of 430 housing units in an architecture that revived the traditions of inner courtyards and old manufactories, a true urban renaissance, following in the footsteps of the ornamental and colorful projects I had previously designed and built. Land used in such an old neighborhood is a result of successive additions of a former market gardens at the back of lots, sometimes with reconstructed facades on street. These evolutions have often reached a balance within the layout of the city blocks, particularly around passages and courtyards, which serve as true urban breathing spaces. The lot of divisions still reflect the timber framed houses, some which survive. To preserve the historical depth of these places, we must retain these irregularities, these imperfections. Thus wrote art historian Oliver Lescos in the February 1994 Architecte du Patrimoine letter after visiting the project, which was partially based on the intentional inclusion of such program imperfection. Ornament present in the architecture of all civilizations was condemned and discarded only very recently. In the Saint-Leu district, it remains ever present. An organic detail ornamentation, it contributes to the neighborhood's natural conviviality. Far from bedbug backward-looking or nostalgic, our approach aims to give the city a renewed sense of optimism, rooted, reimagined, and sustained through history. Belgian clubhouse. Hardly had the covered T area and the golf school been completed when Macopy decided to build a golf clubhouse in the same spirit as the previous buildings, a picturesque and festival style. It was a timber frame construction designed in a style one might find on either side of the English Channel, a Franco-British familiarity with sash windows that carpenter Gérard Eulin even traveled to England to procure. Ah, faudra que je revienne. Je me suis trompé. Belle dune, belle dune. Yeah. He crafted the wooden ornaments with the same perfection he had brought to the Saint Joseph School, where he had been selected by economist Patrick Benoit. Many projects at that time benefited from a unique moment in time when both clients and construction firms, such as King in Amiens, began to see the appeal of more marketable architecture. Elected officials realized the public supported these restoring, harmonious constructions, while some builders came to understand the value of designing more aesthetic buildings. For this project, the details were drawn in pencil instead of ink, further emphasizing the artisanal spirit of a profession I wish to make less technical and more spontaneous. Peut-être revenir. Je me suis trompé dans les pages. Okay. Amiens, Zac Cathedral, Rob Square, New Amiens began in 1985 with an experiment on Rue du Don, where 5 young local architects each designed 2 houses, hoping to foster stylistic diversity. The experiment did not continue, but the reconstruction project gained new momentum under Bernawet, who proposed a precise definition of the urban blocks, later entrusted to multiple firms for a construction process, not a competition. The local authorities selected me first, a choice that wouldn't have been possible in a competition, where the order of architects, still shaken by this profound challenge to modernist orthodoxy, would sorely have blocked me. SG2 1991, 1997. The SG2 block near Saint-Germain-l'Écossais Church and the Tunnels Canal was to house a student resident. With 133 finished studios promoted by CIMAD and built by Kiel. During its inauguration by Gilles de Rebien, skilled new director came to appreciate the added value of beautiful architecture that broke with the cold monotony of modern buildings. Once again, classic styles gained ground, though such progress remains slow and hard-won. In fact, in a letter dated September 11, 2001, I was named architect for a new operation to located on the lower place Paris of Amiens Cathedral. That same September, Bernawet passed away. Members of his agency took over the direction of the Zac Cathedral. BP2 included 13 townhouses planned by Bernawet to be atop a podium with a half basement for parking. During a site visit, Amiens Director of Heritage, Xavier Bailly, finally spoke of an architecture of historical continuity. Terms were becoming clearer. The architectural style I was developing for Amiens drew upon proven models, still meaningful to most people. The use of ornamentation and color offered the continuity of a loving historical narrative. The Clos Saint-Firmin, here, is a name given to a small 14 units residence by architect and developer Mathieu Durier, located within the Zac Cathedral, just below the Bishop's Palace, along the Rue du Don and Rue du Hockey, beside the canals of the same names. While Bernawet's master plan envisioned separate blocks, I was interested in architectural opportunity by linking the 2 first parcels above a pedestrian passage. At this precise location in the city, very near the well-known Place du Thon, I imagined an architecture inspired by the Middle Age, even reserving a niche for Saint-Firmin, patron and martyr of Amiens. In 2008, I wrote to the city's director of heritage, proposing to reintroduce statues into new projects to revive the tradition of architectural sculptures. Ah oui, là c'est complètement... Je sais pas pourquoi. Ah, ok. L'orée du parc, 1995-1996. Boulevard du Cange, located between Saint-Pierre Park and the Saint-Leu's district, it is a wide enough avenue to be lined with trees. The Gruson textile factory developed along in the 19th century. Its facade still bears witness to the beauty of a man's industrial architecture, with projecting bricks, accentuating the gables and pilasters rising across two levels. I drew inspiration from this for a 26-unit residential building, which the real estate agent and developer named l'Orée du Parc, the edge of the park. Cailleux, le kiosque, 2003-2007. This seaside project on the Picardy coast, comprising a tourist office and 9 residential units, once again benefited from the lack of street site protection. Had the architect of Bâtiment de France had authority over the project, it would have been flatly rejected on the grounds that we must no longer build in such backward-looking style and that pastiche must be avoided at all costs. However, since this opinion wasn't binding, the ABF couldn't stop it. Ironically, he had recently approved Eider's modern flat-roofed box facing the sea, the epitome of mediocrity. In this seaside town along the English Channel, I was able to give the building a picturesque architectural decor that continued the tradition of wooden ornamentation, brackets, fretwork panels, scalloped eaves, finals, guardrails, and more. Mers-les-Bains, réhabilitation, extension de la mairie, Mayor Extension. Newly elected, Mayor Emmanuel Mackay wanted to restore and renovate the town hall. As a teenager, he had seen me surveying the villas of Metz. Remembering this, he thought I would be the most suitable person to restore the building's character. Villa Henry, built in 1904 and serving as a town hall, has been covered in white road paint that completely masked its brick walls. The project also involved an extension that would link the main buildings to the waiting hall, located about 10 meters away, fully accessible, while the old villas has staircases. This was an opportunity to create an architectural statement that would reflect the seaside district and provide a more festive and elegant stint for wedding photos by transforming the Ernest Dailly Hall, a 1972 edition that offered poor reception conditions via a narrow entrance door. I also wanted local artists to contribute to the project embellishment. Louis Bulcourt, glass ceramics, and Frank Brodier's stained glass window became figurative works that visually anchor the building to Mers-les-Bains. The external timber frame by the Drouin Company, seeing it on the left, featured large decorative finials characteristic of seaside picturesque style. Saint-Valery-sur-Somme, la billetterie du quai, 2009-2011. On Quai Perret, a freight wagon had long served as a ticket booth for the Baie de Somme tourist train. The city wanted to replace it with a more suitable building. Other tourist services, such as boat tours, also need a shared space. Town Hall Secretary Catherine Fermot explained that a star-shaped structure could serve the purpose several offices grouped within a kiosk-style building. At the center, an interactive terminal would provide visitor information. This space would also form part of the fire safety system, enabling internal circulation between areas. The department required that the building be easily dismantled and set on blocks. The 8-pointed star plan alternated between curved roofs supported by porticos and gable roofs with covered entries supported by brackets. Entirely built of wood, its architecture was an invented picturesque style rooted in the tradition of early 20th century beach pavilions. For the first time, Art Nouveau inspired lighting by creation teeth what installed. The wooden carving. The inside and the Villa Victoria. Okay. La Villa Victoria. Robert Mention, the owner of a vacant lot facing the Bay of Somme, right next to the Relais Guillaume de Normandie, contacted Vinci Immobilier to build a 17 units residence. The top floor with a panoramic rooftop terrace would be his. An initial sketch was presented to the City Hall in 2009 in the presence of local officials and departmental representatives. What I had designed not comply with the zoning regulation, as I chosen to draw inspiration from the sites surrounding villas, not from rules, but seemed to ignore the existing heritage richness. Seeing that everyone present was won over by the sketch, the city clerk, Catherine Fermot, asked me to write the new zoning articles to allow the project. And this it became nothing less a Belle Epoque zone with significant changes. Instead of limiting the eighth to ground plus 1 plus attic, I propose allowing ground plus 2 plus attic with up to 20% at ground plus 3 plus attic. Roof gutter heights were raised. Multiple unhabitable levels in the roof were permitted. Dormer windows were rearranged by size. The architecture drew upon the gorgeous seaside style surrounding us. At the end of construction, Catherine Fermot described Villa Victoria as an UFO in the modern urban landscape. This aim, once again, was to demonstrate that new construction can harmonize with its environment when it respects the spirit of the place. The project featured strong artistic contributions with Louise Bulcourt ceramics with name and date plaques, and Flora's motifs of fence posts. For the first time, Frick painters decorated the entrance hall as a request on Vinci's local director. Brother Christophe and Etienne Ourdouilly, whom I would work with again 10 years later at the Pavillon des Bains, created the beautiful late 19th century decorative atmosphere. This is Christophe Ourdouilly and the realization in the hall. Yeah. Saint-Valery-sur-Somme, la Villa Saint-Germain, 2011-2016. The city of Saint-Valery-sur-Somme wanted to rebuild a structure on Rue Jules Lefebvre, where a building had been destroyed by fire, located at the end of a block and facing the Porte de Noyon. The site was entrusted to me by ED Promotion, who had seen the unanimous approval for Villa Victoria. The facade stretched across three streets: the Rue Jules Brûlé, a commercial artery, the Rue Jules Lefebvre, leading to the Porte de Noyon, the Place du Jeu de Battoir, whose width hints at the location to the former ramparts. The architecture draws from both the existing town houses and the villas facing the shimmering waters of the magnificent Baie de Somme. Excuse me. Garches, la Villa Chiappore, 2017-2022. Anne-Catherine L. and Emilien Chiappore had very clear ideas about their future home. They had seen Villa Victoria online and knew that it was possible today to build original, classically inspired architecture. They felt that the house resembling the beautiful villas of Garches would best match their desire for a traditionally styled home. Anne-Catherine's parents offered a section of their large plot on Rue de la Rangée, so the young family could build freely. Christophe Asquette, head of Garches urban planning department, was fully satisfied with the project and facilitated the building permit. We were extremely fortunate not to need a BF approval, since the site lay just outside the overlapping protected zones. The Sexstaff company played a decisive role in creating organic ornaments around the windows on the facade. The violet-colored tiles were designed to blend harmoniously with the nearby villas. Collaborations with GHM enable us to adjust the size of the entrance gate's rough iron grille. The rooftop was crowned with decorative ridges and fanials from RAF, adorning the zinc terraced mansard roof, a form no longer permitted under the new zoning rules. Trying to prevent future architecture disasters, the local authorities had lowered maximum building heights and severely limited design freedom, making it impossible to recreate what we achieved in 2022. A villa that passers-by mistook for a historic renovation. Mers-les-Bains, le pavillon des Bains, 2009-2024. The excessively long evolution of this project and its construction was due to several factors. Local officials had difficulty envisioning a transformation of their community hall, which posed both functional problems and interior sound transmission issues for the neighboring villas. The existing building was merely a post-war temporary structure that had lasted too long. In a letter dated October 19, 2009, Mayor Emmanuel Maquet sent me the project brief for the rehabilitation of the community hall. Although selected on January 2010, it was until late 2012 that a contract was finally signed for restoration and accessibility upgrade. One key challenge pointed out by the mayor was the metal frame supporting the roof. But even more problematic, there were no walls separating it from the villa gables nearby. It quickly became apparent that complete reconstruction was the only viable option. Solving the acoustic problems required a massive structure entirely detached from surrounding buildings. Historically, the plot had housed Le Bain Chaud, hot baths dating from the late 19th century. Emmanuel Maquet named the future venue Pavillon des Bains, located at the heart of the protected sector. The architecture I proposed was classical in its composition, yet picturesque in its brick detailing and traditional wooden ornamentation. It was designed to integrate seamlessly with the surrounding villas, while clearly expressing its function. The main facade on Rue Paul Doumer asserted itself as the entrance to a small theatre, while the secondary facade on Rue Maurice Dupont, being longer, offered more variety, with a service entrance porch and a gable for the artists and staff entry. Planning permission was granted on October 19, 2025. Work began 2 years later. Delays followed in succession. The liquidation of the masonry contractor, then the COVID-19 lockdown. The project dragged on. By 2022, the municipality wished to convert the technical booth into a balcony and the rear technical area into a reception room. It was no longer a community hall, but a theater. This led to several changes, such as building a second staircase and widening the balcony access points. As a town hall, the Pavillon des Bains benefited from the involvement of talented and meticulous artisans, with every detail undergoing presentation and refinement. Stéphane Damerval, the joiner, showed great precision in preparing the interior decor, proving to be a valuable ally. De Wulf, the decorative brick manufacturer in Allon, provided superimposed brick layers forming cornice on Rue Maurice Dupont above a terracotta frieze of half roses installed by Enterprise Spinelli. Dominique Leca, the carpenter who had already worked on Villa Victoria and Villa Saint-Germain, crafted the brackets and fretwork of the overhanging roof. Frank Baudier created the stained glass window. Christophe Audeuilly, who co-founded the decor company ACO with brother Etienne, painted the frescoes in the entrance hall and in the stained glass room above. Former antique dealer Hugh Streffry established creation trees in Aumale, Seine-Maritime, crafting magnificent Art Nouveau lighting. Simple sconces had been used in the Quai Perret kiosk, followed by double Nancy sconces in Villa Victoria in Saint-Vary. At the Pavillon des Bains, both the Nancy and Nymphaea double sconces by creative contributed to the Belle Époque decor of the hall, stained glass room and bar vestibule. Whatever, the project Ornament is always present in Korean fashion and adapted to contemporary economics, which are no longer those of the original models that inspired us. Ornament may be modest in rural or vernacular architecture and more expressive in urban or historical context. It is, in truth, a reinvention, a continuous adaptation since our means have changed. From the concave granite jambs I designed at the Abbaye Saint-Anne de Calvanon, based on Borromini's works at San Giovanni in Laterano, to the model concrete versions used at the Lycée Saint-Riquier, the materials may differ, but the visual result is the same. On Rue de la Dodane in Amiens, the caissons were made of stone. At the Pavillon des Bains, the spingers of the full bricks arch framing the stained glass were modeled on site in cement. In carpentry, exterior wood work offers a rich field for original decorative exploration. This is a trade for which I produce the most drawings, gables of deep pitch roofs, dormers, frame-shaped funnels, brackets and cobbles, guardrails, balustrade and more, but interior joinery is just a reach with its refined modeling and profiles. Ornamentation is also found in music, where many compositions can be heard through grace notes, appoggiature that naturally link phrases and joyfully embellish the sound. Okay, I finished my way.
So you finished?
Yes, I finished.
Oh, very, very nice. I wanted to see more time the beautiful drawings on the screen. You go through some so fast. But overall, it was a very beautiful and fascinating talk, and for sure full of color. It is such an inspiration, and for me as a conservation architect, it's the real proof that your creativity and rich imagination are in fact fuel by a thorough knowledge of historical details. So this is not just fantasy, it's fantasy streamed by knowledge.
Yeah.
I can say.
Okay.
We will now begin the question and answer session. So if you have questions, please let me know in the message bar at the bottom of the screen, and then unmute your microphone to ask the questions directly. And if you don't have yet questions and you are still thinking at them, I will start with one of mine. Patrick,
Yes.
have you ever feel resistance? Have you ever feel resistance to
Yes.
your ideas?
Yes, yes.
From your colleagues, and especially from the heritage specialists,
Yeah.
from the regional delegation for architecture and environment.
Yeah.
Did they say something that this is, I've heard that you mentioned pastiche at the moment, but in general, how did they accept it, all those very creative solutions of yours? Have they said this is not history, or they understood that your intervention, in fact, are bringing a very big benefit to the city?
I think so. Yes, I think so. But yes. Oh, excuse me.
So they were against you? You have to fight with them, or they always did agree with your solutions?
No, they never agree. And the first was the architect of the Ordre des Architectes, architect order in France. We were very astonished of my ideas and creations. And they didn't, I won, for instance, competitions. So it's why I said it was not a competition, but a consultation, very different. So I was picked the first on all by the authorities and persons who are not of the métier. Of, yeah, you know, they are no architects, but people as
the community,
a thing to do. The community, yeah. And another disgrace was some architectes des bâtiments de France, heritage, we are charged to survey, to keep, to protect the zones, the protected zone, and some of them were very against me because I had to do something more modern. And pastiche was the name they oftenly gave for me. It was a pasticher, but I didn't take.
But you still manage. I saw you build a lot in the UK. I think the resistance is a bit stronger.
Oh yeah.
But you managed to succeed and build all your beautiful embellishments.
Oh, I think
building.
I was very lucky. You think it was as chronicity, as we play, we speak of chronicity. The time I was very lucky because in Amiens, the center city was destroyed, and it was a time to rebuild it. And with Rob Queer, I could be chosen to have free operations in it. It was very wonderful. And in Mers-les-Bains too, the young man, when he was 15, when he was mayor, he reminds that I was on the site and to sketch, to survey, and draw by hand all the villas. So he was,
yes.
So I could do something in his town.
So the human element was very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We have two questions from Thomas. Yes. Thomas, would you like to unmute and ask?
Yes, great. Thank you very much. So firstly, thank you very much for such an interesting talk. So like Georgia, I really enjoyed looking at the pictures of your buildings, and I think they're making a huge benefit to places like Amiens and other parts of France. So well done. So I've got two questions. I'll ask them. I'll ask the first, and then you can answer it, so you don't have to remember, because I always find that's a bit of a problem. So firstly, one of the arguments often put forward by modernists is that modern architecture enables greater creativity because it has been freed from historical precedent. Do you agree with me that it is, in fact, traditional architecture that enables greater creativity because ornamentation opens up more possibilities for buildings to be different from one another and therefore to have more unique character?
Okay, automation. How to say? Uh, I I'm not sure to have well understand the question, but
C'est possible d'avoir
wow.
plus euh, possibilités pour la créativité
Oui,
parce qu'il y a plusieurs des options
yes.
avec l'orientation et modernisme,
Yeah.
il y a moins.
Oui, yes, it's what I choose that because I was afraid by the that they built in my house when I was living in Rue du Montparnasse in Paris because I was here and I saw that it was very folly and I wanted to if I was an architect to change it and ornamentation was the possibility to invent to imagine to oh it was easier to how to say no barriers no limits but the only limits was the budget financial but all you saw was possible and have others experiences like this from the years for the beginning of the 80s and I was very lucky in fact to build a lot of buildings in with that kind of picturesque frame and historic, but also vernacular, because it's why I like, and I think the people like to have this kind of architecture. When they visit a town, they visit the old places, the old zone, the old quartier, and I thought what I was doing would be later historically a part of the history of the town. Yeah,
Yes, the future heritage, as it called it.
yeah, a futurist edge. Thank you. Yeah.
And the second question, Thomas?
Yeah, thank you. So, did you find that the buildings you've presented were economical to build? One of the other arguments often made against traditional architecture is that it's more expensive or that skills have been lost. My experience is that traditional designs can sometimes be cheaper to construct than modernist ones. Have you also found that?
Yes, all the time, all that kind of architecture was possible. So it would it signify that it was possible financially. I have never I had this type of problem. Only with bad deal, how to say promoter as
Developers.
the promotion, but the others were very. How to say? It's a value. It's a more value when you have the kind of architecture to resell later, to sell later. This kind of house. So I have no problem. I never had a problem like this. It was. I think they was very intelligent to see that what I was drawing was good for later in order to sell more and better. I think it was how to say we were win. It's a winning. Both we were winning both. Yeah.
OK, merci beaucoup.
Je vous en prie, merci Thomas. Thank
So
you.
you were very lucky to have intelligent developer who understood that
Yeah.
what you can add to the project
Yeah.
will be a benefit later.
Yeah.
To put it shorter. We have now a question from Alienor. If you would like to ask him directly, Alienor. Are you there?
Hi, Patrick.
Hi.
I was wondering if there are any styles that you haven't had a chance to work in yet that you would like to explore, or maybe it's, project sort of drawings that you have explored in your sort of personal time, but you haven't had a chance to bring to life yet.
Oh, my English is so bad.
Ah, pas de problème, je peux vous le dire en français. Je voulais savoir s'il y a des styles que vous n'avez pas encore l'opportunité d'explorer, avec lesquels vous aimeriez travailler, ou peut-être ça pourrait être des dessins que vous avez fait
Ah
dans
oui,
votre
d'accord.
temps personnel, mais que vous n'avez pas eu le temps, enfin l'opportunité encore de bring to life. Mince, je parle.
Okay, but I try to respond in English for all. Um, how to say? I think I was more in the invention than to copy old styles. You know how to say? I wanted to make a link and not to be only um, how to,
Original.
oui, yes, all is original. I never copy something. It was I reimagine, but in the mind of this time, very rich. In fact, for instance, at the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th, was a period was very open to many styles. And for instance, I would be very interesting to design something of Baroque, but it never happened. It never happened because I like very much this style. Very free, very incredible. Mm.
Think Alienor, it's more in Gothic design.
Gothic.
Would you like to design something in Gothic style?
Probably there is some. I think in the how to say les lucarnes. I don't know. The roof, the windows on the roofs sometimes are Gothic inspiration. Yes, sometimes. Yeah, I designed that in this idea, this style. Yeah,
Like a tracery.
like a tracer.
That element with perforation, like a tracery, like a Gothic tracery. You have that timber decorations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Alienor, are you happy with the answer?
Oui, merci beaucoup.
Je vous en prie, merci. Bonne soirée.
À vous aussi.
Carlo, do you have two questions? Carlo Simotti. You are on mute.
Ah.
We can hear you. Now
Can
it's
I
good.
unmute? Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for your work, first of all. Thanks you for the invitation as well. And I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. One is more general. What are the main differences, the main obstacles, and the main winning arguments, on the other hand, that you have encountered in your business? So in having your projects either failed by modernists, I suppose, on one hand, and in general in convincing the municipalities or private contractors to employ this style of architecture in their project. And on the other hand, what were the winning arguments? What were the aspects of traditional architecture that you find the most success in convincing authorities or private contractors in employing them?
I've no. I think I've no to convince. They were convinced of my style of architecture because they show that people were how to say comment dire, were interested to be in this kind of architecture, the style thing. I would say. I've no many difficulty to convince. The only persons who were against were some ABF, Architect des Bâtiments de France, who are charged of protection of the environment built, and the developers or clients wanted absolutely my kind of architecture because how to say, it was natural. It was as it was natural. So it's only the architects who hated that I do. Yeah.
So it was in the spirit of the place.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I hate modernist architecture for the most part, but I was wondering if there was there were occasions where, let's say, a town, a city wanted to build something, and they made, open submissions to both to any style, and so modern or brutalist, whatever, postmodernist, and so on, and as well as traditional architecture. And what was uh, the, the difficulty on one hand, and the convincing thing to make them choose between one and the other in your favor, of course. But if you say they started with this idea, it's even, I'm even happier with this, of course.
J'ai rien compris.
I think he wanted to say that
Sorry if I explain
he
myself.
thought it was like a competition to choose from several styles. But in your case, somehow you were already chosen because people knew what you are doing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
his question was, in case you have this type of competition, what are the arguments to convince people that traditional architecture is the right way to do it? Not modern, not postmodern, not other options.
I never had this position because I was already chosen first, and so I didn't have any competition. No, it how to say? I didn't have to do that.
Okay. Yeah. It's even better.
Oh yes, very better, very better.
Yeah.
You are
I
lucky.
asked in case you had some past experience with that. What was your experience with that case? But if you didn't have it, it's even better. So I pass to the second question. Given that I come from the tech industry, actually I come from the design industry, but I work in technology now. I own a company in technology, and I would like to do something with architecture, with 3D printing applied to architecture. For example, I was wondering if 3D printing decorative elements or molding elements, or even entire facades, entire building fronts, with a 3D printer could be could optimize your work, could give benefit in terms of economic savings, so containing costs, or in reducing the time, or whatever, just benefit your business in under a competitive point of view. So either increasing profits or reducing costs towards the contractor, this type of thing. 3D printing instead of handcrafting elements.
Oh là là. J'ai rien compris.
He would like to ask if you think that using technology like 3D printing of moldings, brackets, whatever you need in decoration might be of benefit, or you prefer to go with real craftsmen, human beings.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, but the most of the time it's I can say toujours, always. These are craftsmen, yeah, who did that. But I use also how to say industrial decorations like GHM. For instance, the rails for the windows, the protector of windows, the grills. I choose some models in a catalog, and also it could be it. How to say, it's assembling of all that
Mixed,
possibilities. Yes, I use it. Yeah,
but
yes,
it's something
because
that could
it's
be.
beautiful. We have beautiful catalogs.
Mhm.
Yes, it exists in France. In Samovois, there is a big manufacturer of cast iron. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Yes, we have too in UK a lot of pre-cast products in
Precast.
stone
Yeah.
or and if you can adapt to those design, probably the price goes down.
Exactly. Yes. For the stones, it was carved. It was carved by craftsmen. For instance, in the abbey with the granite, it was you remember the photo, and this is in Plouay. I saw where I visited the workshop where they did it for the pieces of granite in the abbey, and also I made it in Rue de la Dodane. I had some pieces in stone too. Yes, but it was.
The fact that you have with whom to work means that in your area in France, you still have a lot of craftsmen. Do you think Compagnon du Devoir have a role in this?
Yeah.
To maintain and encourage them?
The quality?
I mean, this organization, Compagnon du Devoir,
oui.
have a role in encouraging the local craftsmen to continue in France, because if you have them at hand, that means that they still have projects to work on.
Yes, but their companions as are most they worked overall in the historic monuments. So when I worked, it was not historic monuments. It was a protected site, but it was not monument. So I could the craftsmen were not compagnons du devoir, but they are clever. I had some results, very beautiful results with clever men, with clever their know-how.
So you are not allowed to borrow from the conservation project craftsmen and use them in non-historical building. Can they work in both areas, in historic but also in new build? Those craftsmen,
yes,
can they work in historical but also in new build, or the companion have to work only on historical buildings?
I don't know, the companions.
You just said.
I think they can work everywhere, not
yes,
only
that
for
would
the
be
historical.
normal.
But I didn't have any in my building site.
I see.
I don't remember.
Simon, do you have any questions? Simon Hurst? Or Howard?
No, I just want to say what a
Simon.
wonderful talk it was. Very inspiring to see lots of decorative details and color. It's very refreshing. So thank you.
It's very similar to your work.
Yeah.
Full of imagination. Simon renounced to be an architect and now he's a full artist.
Not quite. I'm trying to.
Oh, good.
He is amazing us with all his new products and tiles and.
I don't see him on the screen.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Okay. Hello.
Yes,
hello,
you can see his house. It's full of wonders.
I've been admiring the background behind you.
Oh, beautiful.
So Simon, if you would have more projects like Patrick's, would you come back to architecture?
Oh, absolutely. Of course. I might have to move to France.
Oh, yes. But I see that you have a very historical models.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, yeah,
wonderful.
I'm a lot inspired by Sir John Soane's museum.
Museum.
Yeah.
Johnson Museum. Okay.
Yes, and he loves also Moroccan art and all that area of the world. He's very decorative
Yeah.
oriented.
No.
That's why I'm here tonight.
Yes. Any other questions from the public? Because if we don't have any more, maybe we can wrap it up. But that would be, Patrick, my basic question. In order to do all those projects, you really have to have a good pool of craftsmen. That means that they are still exist. Because everybody is complaining we cannot do this as it was done because we don't have people to do it. Do you
Yeah.
train them yourself, those which are not historically trained? Do you instruct them? Take a normal builder and transform him in an artist? Or you have already very good craftsmen around?
I think we had very good craftsmen around. Yes, it's a answer I can do.
I see.
Yeah.
That's very
For
encouraging.
instance, a joiner. I spoke of a joiner, Stéphane Damerval, who was very precise and very clever to present me some before to do it. He was very he asked me very deeply when I wanted exactly. Hey, it's wonderful.
I see. And you give them also a bit of freedom when you design, to let them a bit of freedom so they can be also creative.
Yes, absolutely. I did it because when how to say for me the result is the most important. Not to apply exactly what I design, but what result is very close and very bright. So it's sufficient for me, and the result is very well in the general in CM.
Yes, because in this way, practically, we can encourage the craftsmen to keep their work alive and be proud of their.
Yes, absolutely. They were very proud to do how to say, to work with me, to do some things. As I said, it was different, but they were normally with our construction, modern construction. So it was better for them. It was very better.
Yes, we hope to see this sort of embellishment in UK too, and hopefully someone from the public see that this is possible, because I think we don't have enough. I don't know what's the situation in the smaller cities, but we don't have this attitude to take something and improve rather than build a new, which is also extremely difficult to build in a new traditional style, a new building. So I hope this was an inspiring talk, and architects from all over the world will be more confident in doing this sort of projects. So thank you very much for the talk. And I will add only that our next talk, called In the Footsteps of Vanborough, it's coming up very soon on 12th of February, and it will be offered by Francis Terry, which is our multi-award winning tag member. So the Eventbrite link for this talk, it's already live. You can book your tickets, because you will be able to hear a lot of behind the scenes stories about the amazing reinstatement of the tapestry room at Castle Howard, and also a lot of other fascinating insights. So with that, I would like to thank you very much for your questions, and most of all for your extremely interesting talk. And I hope to see more projects like this. So for everybody, have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed.
Bye, Georgia.